In the land of Uz lived a man named Job. Job was known throughout the land for his righteousness. He was a man of great wealth, blessed with a large family and abundant possessions. His flocks grazed on vast pastures, his storehouses overflowed with grain, and his home echoed with the laughter of 10 children. Job was, by all accounts, a blessed man. Yet, his true wealth lay not in his possessions, but in his unwavering faith. Job lived a life dedicated to God, a life that exemplified piety and moral integrity. He was a beacon of righteousness, a testament to the power of faith and devotion. His heart was pure, his actions just, and his spirit humble. Job's life was a testament to his belief in a just and merciful God. He offered sacrifices not out of obligation, but out of a heart overflowing with gratitude. His faith was the bedrock of his existence, the guiding principle that shaped his every thought and deed. Little did he know this unwavering faith would soon be tested in ways he could never have imagined. Unbeknownst to Job, a conversation of grave importance was taking place in the heavenly realm. Satan, the accuser, stood before God, questioning the authenticity of Job's piety.
Does Job fear God for nothing?
Satan insinuated that Job's devotion stemmed from his comfortable life, a life generously provided for by God. Remove those comforts, he argued, and Job's piety would crumble like dust. God, confident in Job's unwavering faith, permitted Satan to test him. He set boundaries on the torment Job could endure. His life would be spared, but everything else was fair game. And so the stage was set for a cosmic drama, a test of faith unlike any other, with Job as the unwitting protagonist. The first blow came swiftly and brutally. Messengers arrived in quick succession, each bearing news more devastating than the last. Raiders had stolen Job's oxen and donkeys, killing his servants. Fire from heaven consumed his sheep and the shepherds tending them. A mighty wind had struck the house where his children were feasting, leaving no survivors. The news struck Job with the force of a physical blow. He tore his robe in grief, shaved his head as a sign of mourning, and fell to the ground. Yet even in his profound grief he did not curse God. Job, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. With each tragedy, Job's suffering intensified. His body became covered in painful boils, his skin cracked and oozing. The pain was relentless, a constant torment that robbed him of sleep and peace. His wife, overwhelmed by grief and despair, urged him,
Curse God and die.
But Job refused to waver. Job, shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil? Job refused to blame God. He understood that life was a tapestry woven with threads of both joy and sorrow. His faith, though tested in the fires of suffering, remained unbroken. News of Job's plight reached 3 of his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They came from afar, intending to comfort him in his grief. Upon seeing him, they were speechless. The man they once knew, strong and prosperous, was now a shadow of his former self. For 7 days and nights, they sat with him in silence, their presence a testament to their shared grief. Their silence was a powerful expression of empathy. It acknowledged the depth of Job's suffering, a suffering that transcended words. Yet this period of compassionate silence would soon give way to a torrent of words, words that, while well-intentioned, would only deepen Job's pain. When the friends finally spoke, their words were not of comfort but of judgment. They clung to a simplistic understanding of divine justice. They believed that suffering was always a consequence of sin.
Think now, who that was innocent ever perished, or where were the upright ever cut off?
Bildad echoed this sentiment, arguing that Job's children must have sinned to deserve their fate.
Job, your children must have done something wrong to meet such an end.
Zophar urged Job to repent, assuring him that God would restore his fortunes if he acknowledged his transgressions.
Job, repent now. God will surely restore you if you admit your wrongdoings.
Job listened to his friends' arguments with growing frustration. He knew he had committed no sin to warrant such suffering. He pleaded with them to see his innocence, but his pleas fell on deaf ears.
As the debate raged on, a young man named Elihu, who had been listening intently, stepped forward. He had little patience for the rigid theology of the older men. He criticized both Job's self-righteousness and his friends' misguided attempts at consolation.
Elihu argued that suffering could be a test of faith, a crucible in which righteousness is refined. He suggested that God often works in ways humans cannot comprehend. His words, though lacking the authority of age, carried the weight of wisdom. They offered a fresh perspective, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Finally, the silence was shattered by a voice that shook the very foundations of their being. From the heart of a whirlwind, God spoke. He challenged Job's limited understanding of the universe and the complexities of divine justice. "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth?" God thundered. "Have you commanded the morning since your days began and caused the dawn to know its place?" God's words were not meant to answer Job's questions directly, but to reveal the vastness of his knowledge and the limitations of human understanding. God reminded Job that he is the creator, the sustainer of all things, and his ways are higher than our ways. Humbled and awestruck, Job acknowledged the incomprehensibility of God's ways. He repented, not for any specific sin, but for questioning the justice of the Almighty. He recognized the folly of demanding explanations from the creator of the universe. In the aftermath of the divine encounter, God rebuked Job's friends for their misguided accusations and commended Job for his unwavering faith. He restored Job's fortunes twofold, blessing him with even greater wealth and a new family. Job lived a long and prosperous life, his faith refined by suffering, his spirit humbled by the encounter with the divine. The story of Job is not just an ancient tale, but a timeless reflection on the enduring mystery of suffering. It reminds us that life is full of unexpected twists and turns, moments of profound joy and seasons of inexplicable pain. Job's story doesn't provide easy answers to the problem of suffering. Instead, it offers a framework for understanding. It teaches us that faith is not about avoiding suffering, but about enduring it with integrity. Job's story encourages us to trust in God's goodness and mercy, even when we cannot comprehend his ways. It reminds us that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn will eventually break, and with it, the promise of hope, healing, and restoration.